One. What's up, guys? Welcome to Café Blanc podcast number 8. And what's up? We're gonna start talking about stuff and things. I'm literally still typing stuff here. It's next gen consoles discussion. So we obviously have the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 and rumors of a new Switch, which I don't even know what to call it. It's the new Switch. Just how they did the new 3DS, right, or whatever.
I'm gonna call the new Switch the wait for everyone to be disappointed when it's not 4K Switch. Because with all the headlines we've been seeing this week of 4K Switch coming in 2021, like
Like, just
Nintendo
no
telling
way.
devs, you better get ready, baby. We're talking about 4K. I'm like, dude, Nintendo can't even commit to 1080p. What makes people think they're doing 4K
They're,
next
they're
year?
not even doing like I think the screen is only 720p, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, even whatever the Switch Pro ends up being, I think people definitely need to drastically scale back their expectations
Um,
on.
Nintendo's really never been a company about crazy specs.
yeah, and I don't think anybody really truthfully expects them to do that. It's just the hype, I guess, behind all this here. The podcast started earlier. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I accidentally told Skull that it was gonna be at 11 p.m. not 11 a.m.
You saved me from Turok too. So thank you.
So that's what happened. So yeah, so thank you, Spencer and Skull, for coming into the podcast again. You guys are always welcome to come in and chat with me here. I know this one was like pretty last minute, like the last one. I just apparently suck at planning in advance, but looking forward to see how this is gonna go back and everything. So I'm gonna start with a question for both of you guys, and you tell me what you think about, and then we'll go from there. What is your current preferred console, Skull?
Current gen?
Yeah, current gen.
Yeah, PS4.
The PS4. Yeah. Is there like particular reason why?
Mostly because it has Persona and Yakuza on it, and that's really all. That's really all I need.
So, what do you think about Yakuza coming into the?
I mean, I'm glad this shit's multi-platform, but like, they haven't made every part of Yakuza multi-platform, and I feel like that may be the case for a while.
Yeah.
Skull, do you think people are gonna? I feel like the general populace still aren't fully aware of the fact that Yakuza 7 is a next gen exclusive to Xbox. Do you think once that like finally gets closer to launch and people are aware of like, hey, PS5 version is not coming out this year, and if you want to play this on the best place possible, you have to pick Xbox. Do you think the reception for that's going to be like either A positive, B negative, or maybe even the surprise answer? Like, do you think it'll like sway people into picking up an Xbox just to play the best version of this game?
I don't know if Yakuza would be like a system seller for anybody but a weirdo like me. To be
Well,
honest.
remember though, like in a couple of weeks, like not even a couple of weeks, like Xbox, I've been telling people over and over, people like if they're not going to announce anything crazy, because we already know date and price now for everything, so that wasn't going to be their TGS plans. I keep telling people, I'm like, I expect Xbox is going to lean hard on their third-party exclusives like Phantasy Star 2 and Yakuza 7, because even though in the West it's still super niche, like in Japan, yeah, I think if you tell a bunch of people, hey, you know that game that came out in January? Well, we have the best, most updated version of it. I think that will like interest enough people in the Japanese market who wouldn't be interested in Xbox before, which has been where they struggled really, really hard.
Oh, Xbox and Japanese market has been like oil and water. So if
Yeah.
they can manage to actually secure anything within Japan other than being a $500 doorstop, God bless them.
Yeah, what's interesting because they've been doing a lot of talk with Xbox, just trying to get into the Japanese market. And I'm like, what are they gonna do to get into the Japanese market? At this time, it's just I don't know if it's too late. Like, it's three. How many Xboxes has been? This is like the Xbox 360 one, and then so it's four different Xbox generations, and it's just been consistently getting worse. I guess I don't think it's been getting better.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same point, it's not like something where I needed to be an Xbox 360 player to get into an Xbox One. Like, I remember I bought an Xbox One at launch just because I was like, all right, I have way more money than I know what to do with, and they had at least one or two sequel. Like the reason I bought an Xbox is for Dead Rising 3 and Killer Instinct, which like in retrospect were not like the best reasons to buy a $500 like VHS player. But like I'm sure the same thing goes for people in Japan. Like if there are enough titles that interest them, like there was a reason Xbox tried as hard as they did. More so in the early days, less so with 360. I think once 360 kind of popped off in the West, they didn't care as much about supporting it. And I think it's safe to say with the Xbox One, they never really committed to trying to win over Japanese fans. But I think this is the most proactive I've seen Xbox be since the early days with Shenmue 2 and Jet Set Radio Future and like Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Oh well,
Not to
I,
mention the
I guess we'll
lovely
see.
Metal Chaos.
All right, so same question to you, Spencer. What is your preferred console?
Right now, I'm playing an ungodly amount of my PlayStation Vita, but since that's a handheld, I'm going to have to say it's a tie right now, honestly, with PS4 and Switch. Like, honestly, PS4 outwins it a lot just because of multi-platform stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But as I keep looking at how much time I've spent with games this year on the Switch, I've actually kind of been surprised with, like, this year I feel like has been getting so much crap in terms of there's no good games on Switch. There's no new good games on Switch. If you don't like Animal Crossing, there's nothing. And take it from me, one of the only people in the world who don't own a copy of Animal Crossing on Switch. Like, I'm looking at this year, if we get no other new Switch games coming out, I'm going to be pretty happy with the fact that we're getting Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Xenoblade, as well as Mario All-Stars for whatever that's worth, and ending the year on a new Hyrule Warriors sequel. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much all they had to do to win me over this year.
Yeah, I think Nintendo had a weird year. They started pretty strong, and then pretty much like everybody else, it's like months of nothing. And they were really quiet too, and they just dropped massive stuff. So I'm like,
Like, I don't know how you guys feel, but like for me, after Hyrule Warriors 2 was announced, I'm like, yeah, like it is now up there with like Miles Morales, and then nothing else kind of gets up there in terms of hype. Like I know I'm also in the minority of like I'm interested in Cyberpunk, but I'm not like sitting at the edge of my seat waiting for Cyberpunk. So like, like the Switch now has as big of a AAA fall game as like all the other systems in my head. Like honestly, like even now, like looking at like going back to Microsoft, Hyrule Warriors now means that the Switch has a better holiday lineup than the Xbox One X. I mean, sorry, the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I think you're right there. For me particularly, I am excited for Cyberpunk, but it's been delayed so many times that I'm like, the hype that I had for like the last 3 years. I don't know how long they've been talking about this game. It's like slowly just dying out. Like I had this much hype, and I'm kind of like slowly just turning down to like at this point, whether the game comes out like next week or in a month or two or like next year, I'm still fine with it. Like I'll be like, I'm gonna play it for sure, but like the hype is no longer what it used to be. Now I'm just kind of like Hyrule Warriors, and like you said, the Miles Morales game. That's like what I'm waiting for right now. Because I'm obviously gonna go and buy a PS5 probably. I think I don't have any reasons to buy an Xbox, and I just have a pretty good PC. I have absolutely no reason for an Xbox, and it makes me feel kind of weird about it because I know a lot of my friends still play on Xbox and everything. I'm like the one weirdo with the PlayStation 4. Like everybody else has an Xbox One and they play together and everything. It's like, you should play with us. I'm like, I don't have an Xbox. I don't want to buy one. I had one, but I sold it for the PC because I had a PC. I was like, I don't need an Xbox to have the same games and everything. So, however, I want to commend Xbox or Microsoft rather for their what is that thing that they're doing right now with the Xbox?
Game Pass.
Game Pass, because I got the Game Pass and I got it for like, in promotion for like $1.99. So I've been playing $1.99 for like 4 months or 5 months already, and I've been playing a ton of games on PC. That's literally my preferred console right now. Is not really the console, it's just the PC because I've been playing everything on PC. And obviously Persona and everything else that comes out on the Ghost of Tsushima, but everything else just been PC and PC. Which is weird because I've never been a PC guy. Like I've never been kind of like PC Master Race or anything like that. But as of late, it's just been literally just the PC. Although I enjoy my Switch quite a bit, there's a lot of games on the Switch that I'm kind of like, yeah, this is being good. Although I'm not playing Animal Crossing for anybody out there on the comments, which talking about this, I it's not my kind of game. I don't know. No, it's like I enjoy those games. It's just I don't have the time for the game because I need to sit down and play for hours and hours. And I don't know if I can do that. Like just a single game. I can switch around games for everything, but yeah.
Skull, how do you feel? Okay, I guess if you just like had to get microphone in your face immediately, what's your takeaway for Game Pass? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that I'm the one out of the three of us that never owned an Xbox One and kind of just stopped after like midway through 360. But from what I've seen and read about it, it's pretty damn good though. It's games on demand service, and they're adding it to just be also Xbox Live, and then be also was it the EA Pass?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
just
now,
added
now EA
that.
Play is
I mean,
on
if I
there.
played EA games, that would be pretty cool. But I mean, yeah, that sounds like a better value than PS Plus, which PS Plus for PS5 is going to be exactly what it was for PS4. A bunch of weird indie games for like the first 3 years, and then AAA titles for
Oh,
the
dude,
rest
that's
of
like
the
that
gen.
is so wrong. Like there, back when the PS4 launched, like PS Plus was like getting into its like heyday of like we're
Yeah.
gonna launch new games almost every month. You were gonna get at least a new game or a big game you didn't know about. Like I remember looking back on it, like Binding of Isaac was a free PS Plus game on PS4.
Hmm.
They did stuff with like Mercenary Kings and like so many
I
like
wish I'd
But
have
pretty
finished
big like
it.
indie games that like I remember sinking
yeah,
so
they
much time into of like being
I
like,
also
oh man,
remember
this is
the constant
crazy. Whereas
like
like now, I think the thing with PS Plus is like ever since I think it's pretty much universally agreed upon. Once they killed off the 6 games a month thing, so they dropped PS3 and they
yeah.
dropped PS Vita games,
Mhm.
like outside of say with like a rare case like a Fall Guys, most months are pretty bad. It's like this month we have PUBG and Street Fighter 5 vanilla. It's like okay, cool. The most popular battle royales right now are free to play anyway, and base Street Fighter 5 has a value of $0.
I mean, it's pretty much just a reason for Capcom to be able to get people to buy that upgrade kit. But I
But you
remember
see
this
that
like
that's not
grand
even the thing. Where it's like
concerns.
no one's going to play base Street Fighter in 2020, and even if you get base Street Fighter 5 for free, I can't think of anyone playing it and go like, man, I gotta pay for this upgrade kit. Feel like this game's old. This game feels old. Like Street Fighter 5 is not visually impressive. So like even in terms of like marketing their games, like they couldn't even really do a very good job with it. But it's like I get it. Street Fighter 5 right
Yeah,
now
Season
should
5
be
did a
in.
good job marketing the game.
Yeah, it's like Street Fighter 5 is its own like podcast of conversation in terms of like how complicated that whole game's like lifespan continues to be, which like man, that'll make a really interesting documentary if one day anyone can like get
Which
the
is the
rights into
point.
like
uh,
how big of a dumpster fire one game can be and yet still get supported.
and it
Well,
still
at this point, current
continuously
season
just
Street Fighter 5 is just a stalling tactic for Street Fighter 6.
Which is also now going through its own development troubles. It's so funny is like looking at everything Capcom as like a huge Capcom fan here. Like Street Fighter 6 is their only like blind spot right now. Everything else they've been doing is just like win after win
they're
after win. But
killing
like
it. They're doing so
they
good.
just
Fighting games
can't
have
get
been
it
tough
right with
this
fighting
year.
games.
And that's so weird too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like
But I will say, this is a good stalling tactic only because they picked characters that people really want, and they're not trying to focus on them just being like tournament compliant. Like Den would be the worst character to play in a tournament, but people still love him, so now he's in Street Fighter 5.
I think it also probably helps that A Evo was canceled and B no actual local tournaments are happening for the foreseeable future. So at this point they're like, okay, we can add whoever we want.
Yeah, so
Because I mean,
fucking
it's not like people are
Oro,
going to use their
Akira.
online net play, which is still garbage after 7 years.
I personally, I bought Street Fighter 5 for streaming just because hey, it's fun to play fighting games with fans. But I need to see how Oro plays out because he's holding a turtle the entire time, and that sounds like a nightmare to animate. Of just all of these flashy animations, yet he still needs to keep the turtle balanced in his hand.
I wish him the best of luck. As I mentioned, I'm a stupidly big Street Fighter fan. I bought in Street Fighter V at launch. I remember I bought two different collector's editions for that game. I was like that excited for it, and like as the DLC plans just kind of rolled out, I was like, no,
Spencer got scammed. I'm sorry.
We'll move it on. I mean, I had no FOMO. Like when you buy any game at launch, there's always that chance. It's like, listen, I'm sitting here looking at my day one collector's edition of Mighty Number 9. Like I'm not getting that value back. So it's like you can't win them all.
I got that.
I feel you, man. I got the collectors for Duke Nukem Forever, so I get how you feel.
I guess I never bought a bad collector's edition.
What are you talking about? I thought you owned the collector's edition for Catherine Full Body.
It's not bad. Oh wait. I own the collector's edition for Persona 3 and Persona 5 Dancing All Night. That is a bad collector's edition.
Yeah, we'll count that.
Well, I mean, at retail.
I'm gonna dunk on it for a minute there.
Understandable.
I'm still upset about that. I don't know. It was promoted differently from what it was. It's fine. Whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it anymore.
It's all right. I got lucky. I got it on the pricing error of $60, so I don't feel that sting.
Oh, okay. You didn't pay $100 for it. Okay,
No. I bought it like immediately when it was wrongly priced at $60, and Amazon had to honor it. So.
Okay, that's good. That's probably the only way to actually buy the game under $60 with both.
Well, yeah. Now you can get like the full collection for like $20, so it's a pretty good value.
Yeah. At this point, like when I played the game, I was like, man, I don't even know if I like, because I think when I played that game, and man, we're talking about Persona.
It's all right. It was bound to happen.
When I first bought the games, I think like my immediate thought was, this has got to be something like Persona 4 Dancing, with the mini story and all kinds of stuff like that. And I honestly didn't even bother like researching too much into it. I was just excited for more Persona stuff. So I play it, and there's like no story or like whatever it is of the story, and I was like, the dancing is good. Dancing is good. It's just it's Sega doing dancing stuff, so it's gonna be okay. Because I like the Hatsune Miku dancing games. They're fun. So I was like, man, it's okay. I'm just never been good at dancing games. So like the appeal to me was more like the Persona appeal of the game. So that bringing Persona, I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think we're gonna get the Persona 5 Royal to work on the PS5?
Yeah, it technically didn't make the cutoff date of a July release to be mandated, but I cannot believe we are like almost 2 months away from these systems coming out. And like with Xbox, it's like, yeah, man, there's like, don't worry, you can play everything. Like we're all good. Like backwards compatibly, you're all great. PlayStation, it's like, probably, maybe, but don't hold me to it.
Yeah, they announced like 4,000 games or 400 games, right? And they're like, well, there's an asterisk on those 400 games. And I was like, this only 400 games, man. You have more games than that in the PS4. So now I'm like, yeah. I don't even know.
I mean, the real question is like, I don't know, because like I actually have talked to people about that. Of like, what if someone like skipped the PS4 but bought all these like PS4 games in hopes that it would work for it? Like my question is like, for you guys, how important is, and this is just like a next gen thing in general, how important or how tempting does backwards compatibility like appeal to you?
To me, the only important is the PS4 to PS5, because I'm looking to trade my PS4 for a PS5. I don't want to keep both systems. I just don't have space. I have a lot of trash right now. So I'm like, if it's backwards compatibility and I can play PS4 games, that's the important thing to me. Now, if it doesn't happen, then it's just gonna kind of suck, I guess.
Because I'm gonna top 100 or something.
Yeah.
So I feel like Royal would hit that, even though it missed the cutoff date. Like they'll eventually update it where it can play Royal.
We have to wait for Atlas to do that.
Atlas updating their games. That's funny. That's a really good one, dude. That's a good joke.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the most unrealistic thing I've ever said about Atlas.
Like the fact that they patched Royal twice and it was for like typos blew my mind. And then I still look back at Vanilla P5, which was riddled with problems, and I'm like, how many times did that game ever get patched? Oh, none. Okay, because like I know a lot of people don't really know this, but like, and that was just in the West kind of thing. Like Royal still is 0.01. Sorry, it is 1.0. Like they never patched Royal in Japan ever.
Interesting.
And they rewrote a couple of lines where they have the same meaning, but they're just said differently. That poor small potatoes line. They're like Twitter blew up when when that got updated, and it's like no more small potatoes.
Weird kind of thing though with backwards compatibility. I was just curious because Xbox is the one we really know the most about as of this recording. Obviously, PlayStation's gonna have more stuff later in the next couple of days. But right now, where do you guys kind of stand with Xbox? Because for right now, I'm not like sold on buying one right now at launch. But I think in terms of like being set up for holiday, I think they have their eggs in a basket way better than even Nintendo or Sony combined, because it's like they have a cheap option available, they've got a big boy option available, they've got Game Pass, and then their big one that I still don't think enough people are talking about is all of the financing options they have of like, hey, $25 a month for their
they did that too.
2 years if you want the S, or $35 for 2 years for the X, and like basically just adopting like the iPhone payment plan model, which like I think is perfect because it's like there's no interest. You pay it every month for 2 years. You get Games Pass and you get Xbox Live all in that price of just like, hey, in a year where people are already going to have a hard time justifying any amount of expensive machines, like that's going to be the best way to sell as many of these as possible.
Yeah, you bring a really good point. I think that at this point, and I'm not an Xbox person, neither am I going to get an Xbox for obvious. As I mentioned before, my PC is pretty good. If I were to choose a console based on just what I know, I would probably go for an Xbox. They just have a lot of stuff going on right now with everything that they show, and like you were saying, the financial options and everything. Because let's be honest, the economy is not even close to being repaired or fixed in the States, and I know that people live in other countries and stuff, and I still know they're struggling. So it's good that they're looking into that end. Yeah, to me, if I were to put my hat on a console, probably the Xbox right now. But it's because Sony has been so quiet as far as like, I don't know if it's just a lack of transparency bothers me so much about any company, whether it's Atlas or Capcom or my favorite companies, or whatever. If there's no transparency, you just kind of like, you need to talk and we need to know what's going on. Because
it's like really good. It's extra funny that like, even though you say like you're not going to get it, at the same point of like, imagine if it's because like I know you were, I don't know if you're still thinking about like looking at like graphics card options after all the Nvidia stuff. Like imagine, what's going to be easier for me to upgrade my motherboard, upgrade my GPU, and all this other stuff, or pay Xbox $35 a month and just don't have to worry about it and hook it up to a TV?
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Kind of the reasons why consoles exist.
You bring up a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. A lot of people think about it like that too. I mean, you don't want to go and build your PC. A lot of people don't even know how to build their own PC, and that's kind of like the intimidating part of like going into buying parts for a PC and putting it together and hoping that it's gonna work out fine. Did I mess up with the motherboard or whatever? There's all these other issues. You can updates and upgrades all the time and everything. It's bothersome. Like that's why I didn't for the longest time build a PC, because I didn't want to get into all that. Like I know about it, and I like doing that stuff because I built PCs before for other people. But I'm like, I don't really want to go into all that. But the whole YouTube channel thing, that's the whole reason why I even built a PC, because I needed something to edit videos and stuff. So that was my only reason for a PC at that time. But yeah, what about you, Skull? We left you out of that talk. What do you think about the?
That's all right. I just have the strongest feeling that the reason why Sony's not talking is because they're likely avoiding what they can't, what Xbox can do, but they can't. I feel like it's going to be like a lot of a Saturn PS1 situation. But the PS5 is
Man, I wish. At least back then, like, unless you were a Nintendo 64 plebeian and you had garbage games for your entire existence, like, if you were a Sony and like a Sega fan, those are so great because, like, even though Sony just destroyed everyone that gen, all those exclusives on both of those systems were insane.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean like specifically like E3 where they're announcing it sooner with a larger price point, and they're going to end up screwing themselves over at least at the beginning.
Oh, like
I have
like
a feeling that they don't have the flexible payment plan options, and that they have disc or discless, and it's likely just going to be $100 price difference, and that's it.
Okay, I have two price questions I then want to ask you guys, but I have to ask Kuro first. Kuro, do you think there's $100 price difference between the digital and disc version of the PS5?
I think so, because they're gonna have to eat that extra money, because there's no way they're gonna be a $50. The reasonable thing will be a $50 difference, like for a price point.
Like that's my thing. I'm thinking 50. I think they want to make that gap just close enough that if you don't want a disc, you're like, oh sweet, I'm saving myself $50.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want it to be so big that people are gonna look at the other one and go, oh god, man, $100? Because like, for a disc drive, when you're mass producing this many hundreds of thousands, like it's not you're not saving yourself $100. The most expensive part of that discless version is probably just the extra mold they had to make without the disc slot.
Yeah, I don't even think they're saving $50 on each one of them. I think they may be like either 25 or $30, but overall, the whole thing about it is they're gonna have to eat some of that money. They're gonna have to get some, because I mean, Xbox is $4.99 for the regular one, and it's like $2.99 for the other one. Is that right? That is an insane price. Whenever they announced it, I was like, "There's no way! Like this is no way! Like what is going on with that?" That small little console, though, I don't trust what they're saying so far. Like I don't trust marketing. I'm like, it's not gonna. What they're saying is not gonna gate the next gen games. So I'm like, if he's not gonna play 4K, he's gonna gate something. I mean, it's gonna.
So, a bit of a weird question, because you already said this goes into like price as well. Before we kind of, I want to actually talk about like 4K like frame rate stuff with you guys though. But like Skull, so for you, when you saw the Xbox price, did you have any reaction, or as someone who's not super into that ecosystem, did it just kind of leave you with no reaction?
I just thought, oh, okay, cool. Because I don't plan on buying either at launch. I've learned my lesson too many times of don't buy a console at launch, because it's going to end up breaking at some point over time, and then you're going to have to buy the next version. So I'll just wait for the next version.
Really?
Unless like Persona 6 comes out in 2022, then I can wait.
Yeah, I'm not that powerful. I look at new shiny hardware and I go, ooh, I need that.
I mean, I'm talking a lot of shit, but November comes and we'll see if I can hold myself to my own scruples.
There were literally only been 2 times where I looked at hardware and I went, whew, yeah, I'm good. I don't need that. It was the Wii U, which I waited for Wind Waker to buy, and it was the original 3DS, which, like, I remember when that thing launched, I had whatever the opposite of FOMO was. I remember a buddy of mine brought it to school the day it came out, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, that is not impressive.
I think I bought you know what? Wind Waker. I bought the Wind Waker edition of this Wii U. That's what I did.
That was specifically the one I held out for. I was like, oh, it's a limited system. It's my birthday. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So, going back about 4K and everything, you guys think that that this is gonna be a solid 60 FPS 4K systems? Like, do you think that both systems are gonna be able to run it like that?
I think both are going to try a lot. We've obviously not seen a ton of games that's important with, but actually, before we get into the can they or can they not, I've been meaning to ask this on my Twitter personally, but I keep forgetting to, just because it's hard when I keep tweeting the same thing every day. But like, I'm curious what you guys think, like, for at least you guys personally, and then we can kind of ask the audience, or just in terms of the community as a whole. Like, what is your guys' setup? Do you guys all play on a 4K capable monitor with 144 like refresh rate? Like, what are you guys actually playing with? Not like what you can do.
I do. I do. The exact specs that you just mentioned. But my TV and my monitor.
Okay. So what about you, like, Skull? Is everything you have like pretty much like latest and greatest, like basically next gen ready display wise?
Pretty much. I mean, I can't say anything about 8K, but yeah, I do have a 4K television.
Okay, and like 120 like refresh rate and everything like that. So like, I just got a TV that could do that, and I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. I got like the latest and greatest TV within like my budget recently, like while I was moving. None of that mattered to me. I could still be on 1080p and be very fine with my like 30-something inch display TV I'm right next to in my office. Like the only reason I bought that is because we bought a big ass entertainment center, and it's like, okay, my TV looks like a play toy in this giant space. We might as well fill this thing up as much as we can. And I more so bought it for like my fiance, just to like have like a nice big TV for her to watch. But like, even though I have it now, it's like, oh yeah, things look a lot better. I've never been one of those people who like really care about it.
I feel like it's because you haven't actually played a game at 4K with like 120 FPS. Whenever you go
like,
to that,
frame rate wise, I've done like insane frame rates with like stuff that's like I've done. I think I did like I remember I played like Res Infinite on like 200 frames because like that game takes like nothing to like blow through like uncapped, but like frame rates do nothing for me. Like playing a game at whatever, as long as the experience is designed for it, I think most people don't super care for like frame rates because like at least for the ones that like I kind of talk to, like yes, there is obviously the vocal minority who are like, I want like uncapped frame rate, I want the best presentation, but like even as someone who's had a PlayStation 4 Pro. I hate like that we live in this generation of like, hey, do you want performance mode or do you want like visual mode? And now like, you're just sitting there kind of toggling, and I'm like, why am I making like why am I like sacrificing one for the other? Like just pick one you think is better. Like as long as like it works that way. Like the amount of games where it's kind of been like, oh, here's the best of both worlds. Like the only time I can really think of was just because my specific circumstance. I remember when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. Kingdom Hearts 3, if you're trying to play in 4K, can barely run 60 FPS. But if you have a 1080p display, then you can run it at 60 FPS, and it's looking the best for it. So it's just kind of one of these things of like so when I look at these boxes and they say we can do 4K, we can do 120 FPS, I'm not sitting there going, are you sure you can? I'm more going like, who is this for? Like I don't know who these people are. Like, and I get it. Like they need something to tout that the old boxes can't do, and they can't sell the actual selling feature. Because like right now, if both of you guys had to get asked, what is the big selling point of next gen outside of the video games exclusivity and stuff? Like what's the first big like feature that next gen does that current gen can't do?
My response would be,
Earl?
Nullify, no.
Sorry, you completely just broke up.
Oh, I was just saying, like, if you had to pick one thing that next gen really has to lean on that current gen cannot do at all, what's the first thing you would say if you had to?
You know what? I don't know, because one thing that I found really impressive about the PS5 thing that they worked on, and a lot of people don't give a shit about, but that 3D sound that they are looking for. I'm really curious how that turns out. Like, I'm actually, I don't, you guys don't, nobody knows this, but besides my YouTube channel and everything, I'm a musician. I play music for a living. So I find the whole 3D audio they're going for, I want to see how that sounds. I am so curious about it.
I will say that one has my interest peaked a lot as well in the Sony side of things. Like I'm probably going to pick up that new headset just so I can like kind of see what that really sounds like, as like I'm a bit even like an audiophile like myself. But like the big thing both of these consoles are touting, that at least in terms of like if you ask developers, the big thing for next gen, but it's not a really big selling point, is hard drive speed. Everything is going to run stupid fast. No more hard drives, SSDs, NVMe drives. These are all very new, very expensive technology. But you can't just like sell, like you can't make a fancy ad with a girl running through a cave shooting a bow and then have it just be like, whoo, look at that hard drive. Like you gotta like sell like weird things like, oh, check out the triggers, check out the haptic feedback, things like that. But like I think once it starts getting in people's hands, and if these speeds are as good as they have, because I don't know if you guys saw the footage that Xbox put out of, hey, here's final hardware, here's on the S and the Series X, of game switching, and they were like playing 5 different games at once, and it took them like 5 seconds to switch in between each game in motion. And it was like, that is really impressive. Like, yes, how many use cases are you going to have for that? But then, like, going back to the Sony side of things, look at Spider-Man when they're demoing off. There's not hard footage of this, but like it is out there of them showing off the speed of like, hey, at New York you were capped by the frame rate. That's how fast you could go. Now they're going to be like, hey, you're going to be able to go through New York as fast as humanly possible, and the game is just everything's loaded in at once because the hard drive.
I think that that's actually going to be more of a bigger selling point. Like once, like unfortunately, you really can't do those like demo kiosks like they had for PS4, where people could actually just try it out for themselves and be able to see what they're getting into. But because of current year, you can't really set up those booths and have people feel like the DualSense and see it for themselves. You can only really go off of word at this point.
Yeah. This is an interesting. You just brought up the biggest thing about this generation is like we're going through a pandemic, and it's so hard to kind of expect like the 3D sound that I was just talking about. How does that sound? Like who knows? We're only going by the description of what they're talking about. It's just so hard for us to kind of gauge things like that because it could be anything really. And I'm really curious how all of that turns out. 'Cause it's a hard sell. Like if you really think about it. Just telling people by the word of mouth, hey, this is what it's supposed to be like, or like the feedback in the controller, all these new features that they added and everything. Like, it's just showing a video may not be enough for some people. I don't know. It's gonna be hard to explain a lot of these features, especially from the PlayStation side, I think. Not so much for the Xbox side. I don't think they did a lot of that kind of stuff, right?
No, Xbox has definitely been in the camp of Games Pass. Don't ask about Halo. Games Pass.
Yeah, them on the exclusive side is just like a drought.
Well, it's not a drought. Like, they have exclusives. Like, even if we're not talking about, like, next-gen exclusives like Yakuza, like, they have the medium. Like, I'm excited for the medium.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the medium, but, like, Halo being delayed till next year and them saying don't expect first-party titles for, like, the first year or two.
Oh, yeah, because they want everything to kind
of... That's definitely, like... Now, I think the context of what you're saying needs a little bit of a... It's not don't expect first-party games for a year. Don't expect first-party exclusives. Because, like, everything Xbox is going to be putting out for the next year is also going to be coming out on Series X and the original Xbox, which is like that's less of a blow. So like and I mean, even like at launch, like they're going to have a new Gears game coming out. Like Gears Tactics is like, I don't really care about Gears, but I've heard if you like tactics games like XCOM, like that is a really good game. Like I'm sure they're going to have Flight Simulator out because of how popular that has been since release. And I'm sure putting Flight Sim on a console and it can actually run it that well, because like I don't know, like, because, like, Kuro, you're probably the only one here to have a PC relatively even close enough to it. Like, do you even know if you can run Flight Simulator? Because, like, I would love to play it, but, like, that game would burn my computer up.
Which one?
Flight Sim, like the new one that just came out.
Flight Simulator? I don't know. I haven't thought about playing that game, to be honest.
Well, if you're interested in playing it, it is on Games Pass, but it is also going to cost you about 100 plus to 200 gigabytes.
Oh, that's fine. We can probably check that out now.
But yeah, like so, like they're gonna have stuff, but yeah, they're not gonna have like the big like this is only on us. Which like, I think if you're something like a Spider-Man, exclusives matter. If you're something like, hey, we're also on that system you didn't buy, it's like who cares? Like a great example is look at something like Mario Kart 8 or Persona 4 Golden. Mm-hmm. If you weren't going to play it on the Wii U or Vita, it doesn't matter what year it is. If it was an exclusive then, it isn't now. Like, it's at a place that more people can play it at, good, go for it.
Yeah, console exclusivity, it matters, but it only matters for that particular time, like you said. Now that Persona 4 Golden is on PC and all these people are playing it, I don't think anybody was like, man, I really wish I bought a Vita back in the day so I could play that game.
Like a great example is while Xbox is relying heavily on Games Pass, Sony's doing the exact same thing but just with exclusives because like that's what they're known for and they don't plan on stopping. So like while someone can look at Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man, Demon Souls and Gran Turismo and go, oh my god, these are awesome. I can only play these on the PS5. Then someone can easily just as well be like, okay, well, I get $60 a year for games budget. I'm going to put that into Games Pass, and I have over 100 games to pick from, and I'll have every first-party game, multi-platform or not, is going to be on my system day one for free.
Yeah, I mean it's a good point, and that the whole thing is that also helps with, I mean, with the sales and stuff. Like you buy an Xbox, you log in, and there you go. You have a ton of games to play now on the Xbox and whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, developer-wise, I think you're kind of living the best of both worlds, because if assuming both of these consoles stick to their niches as much as possible, I think that this is going to be like a win-win for everybody, because like right now, no one is really trying to eat the other person's lunch. Yes, there is going to be the Xbox, PlayStation fans of like, mine's more powerful. Well, mine's more faster. But like when we look at it right now, all three of these companies have systems doing drastically different things. Mm-hmm. Nintendo is doing portable hybrid gameplay. Sony is doing exclusives at crazy fast hard drive speeds, and Xbox is doing, here's the most powerful console, here's the cheapest console on the market at the exact same time, and here is Games Pass for $10 a month. Play everything in one spot. So like, because they're all doing so drastically different things, I think that puts them in a position of growing their fan base as much as possible, because like a big reason is all of us have PS4s in this like podcast.
Yeah.
What's our reason to buy an Xbox if we don't care for the exclusives? It's like, well, they all did the same thing. PS4 and Xbox One did the exact same thing. So that's why they were constantly getting compared. Like, remember when any big PlayStation first party would come out? Like, I remember when God of War came out, people would be like, what the fuck, Xbox? What do you got? You want Horizon 4? It's like, yeah, like Horizon 4 is a great game, but it's not going to like look up to like a God of War or something like that. So like they're just in such drastically different positions that I think it was like very smart of Microsoft to be like, hey, we can play the exclusives game in different ways and do stuff that like other companies really wouldn't. Like a great example that's happening now, look at Fantasy Online 2. Like Phantasy Star Online 2 coming back, no one in their right mind would bring that back, but whoever does gets a tremendous amount of goodwill, and that's what Microsoft's gotten. Because like, if you look at all the people playing PSO2, problems or whatever, I think we can all agree, at the end of the day, we're glad that Microsoft made it happen. No one's looking at Sega and going like, whew, Sega, you're awesome. You finally brought it back. No, we still go back and we say, hey, fuck you, Sega. Why didn't you bring this over yourself, you cheap bastards? You had to have Microsoft bring this game out?
You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. And again, this is all, again, with all this exclusivity stuff, like if you think about it, Sony is now doing this time exclusive shit all the time. And, you know, like, I see a lot of people getting mad about it. Like, you know, Final Fantasy VII was a time exclusive. We know, I think Resident Evil 8 is going to be a time exclusive too.
No. Resident Evil 8 is not a timed exclusive. But Sony, you are right, though. Sony is going a lot harder. Two big ones that I think people aren't talking about enough, and there are more coming that just aren't announced officially yet. Ghostwire exclusive for at least 6 months to a year. Deathloop, also from Bethesda, coming 6 months to a year. So those are launching only on PS5 first.
Ooh.
Yeah, I knew about one of them. I didn't know about Deathloop. That's crazy.
Deathloop was actually supposed to be ready for launch. That one just got pushed, I think, like last month.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Interesting. I'm curious about that game because I really like the Dishonored games, and it's made by the same team that made those games. And the gameplay is insane. At least from what I've seen, is pretty cool stuff.
My hope is that Arcane can finally have a game that sells as well as it is designed. Like, they make amazing games, but I feel like they always sell like so terribly. Like, I loved Prey, but like I feel like 20 people brought Prey.
It's crazy because their art design is so, it's almost like playing a painting. It reminds me in a weird way. It reminds me of 30 Sentinels. Like, it's nothing alike to each other, but it's like an artistic choice to it that it just makes it so beautiful, at least to look at. And sadly, 30 Sentinels is probably gonna follow that same. Not gonna sell very well, either. Just putting it out there, that game's just not gonna sell good. As much as we promote it.
I said it last week, and I'm gonna hammer it down even more. 13 Sentinels will be lucky to sell 13 copies by the time all said and done.
Oof.
Yeah, and I want that game to do good. I mean, we all been talking about that game over and over again. Whether it's on my channel or you guys in your respective platforms and everything. But I feel like we're promoting it even much more than Atlas has ever talk about this game, and that's just sad. Oh, well, we
Yeah,
talking
now,
about
now I
Atlas.
just feel depressed.
And that game is
God damn
good.
it.
I seen so much gameplay of it, and I'm just so excited for this, guys. Are you guys watching in or listening to this podcast? Check that game out. Do yourself a favor. Vanillaware makes really good games.
Make sure to pre-order it if you want that art book. That art book is going to be stupid hard to find. I can already tell you.
Yeah. Oh crap! Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I haven't pre-ordered yet. I'm gonna do that real soon. All right. So going back, I want to talk about this Switch rumored 4K slash 1K, whatever that turns out to me. What do you guys think about the semi jump into an kind of like half step into the next gen Switch?
I mean, they always put out like a better version of the system unless it's the Wii U and they just don't care. But I could see that happening. I don't know if they're going to really tout 4K as a big deal, only because Nintendo almost never touts like resolution and frame rate as a selling point. I think the only time they did that was at a private event,
Yeah.
and that was it. Like, again, if it runs in 4K, there's going to be somebody else other than Nintendo to tell you that.
Yeah, I don't really think it's gonna be able to run 4K. Let's just be honest here. I mean, looking at the way the console looks and everything, I have to be a really much bigger sacrificing the portability aspect. Because you also have to think about the battery to support the 4K and everything inside. And I
Well, I
don't
mean,
know.
if they have a portable only Switch, I could see them having a dock only Switch.
Yeah, oh, they could do that. Yeah, you're right. They could do a dock on
No,
the Switch.
see, but then you have the first immediate problem. It's like, so is it? So how is it a Switch then?
Well, didn't they
That's
So
already
it's like,
have?
fine.
like the portable only one with like the Switch Lite, I think you kind of get a pass at just because it's like, okay, it's you still have the amazing fact of like because no one's putting a Switch on their dock and going, whoa, look at those graphics. But I remember like I'll still play my Switch in handheld mode and be like, oh, this is really good for like how outdated the hardware is. I think even at 4K, like the appeal of the Switch is not going to be there for a dedicated system, and like Nintendo's just never like they've stopped caring about power since the GameCube and stuff like for a reason.
Well, yeah, because the Wii sold like fucking crazy, and they realized, oh wait, graphics don't matter.
Well,
Yeah,
it's not even just a graphics and visual like kind of thing. Like look at games like Xenoblade. Like Xenoblade resolution wise looks almost 2 generations old, but what they do artistically with those games is like so amazing. Like they don't really need the hardware in terms of a technical level for it. So really, why do that if it's just going to make the user have to pay more money? And I think Nintendo selling a console over $300 is going to be such a big ask, even in like next year with 4K. So it's like at this point, it's just one of those weird asks of like, okay, why are you like making this 4K if all it's going to do is make things more expensive and in the long run? Because remember, 4K games means everything's going to have to have more memory. They cannot even afford, like most companies can't even afford to put game ones on a 32 gigabyte card. You're not fitting 4K textures under 30 gigs. So like everything about that system is going to get more expensive. So
yeah,
why do that theoretically then in the long run?
yeah. I think at this point, Nintendo should just wait another gen before actually putting implementing 4K. Like I can imagine just that being a thing. I think the little Xbox console for $299 they're pulling out, it actually is going to only gonna run. I was literally looking up the numbers. It's run at 1440, and that seems to be about the same size as what the Switch is. Like they put them side by side kind of thing. So I'm thinking that this is probably gonna be it's gonna turn out maybe probably gonna run to 1080p or something like that. But a 4K console at this time just seems like a really like weird scenario for me. At least for me particularly, it just feels like it's like a little bit off. Like, do you need it?
And also just other facts of like the Switch has a bad battery even with the updated model, you know?
Mhm.
So like what battery are they going to run in this thing so that it can even hope to get 3 hours into its like system at like 4K or even just 1080p handheld graphics? What's the screen going to be like? Because I don't know how you guys feel about it. Like the Switch is fine, but like man, that plastic screen. Every time I touch it, I'm like, how does this screen like? Even though it's 3 years old, like this thing just feels like super like cheap and flimsy and plasticky. Whereas like going back to like playing on my Vita, like that OLED touchscreen from 8 years ago feels better than this screen.
Let's talk about
from 2 years ago.
how well built the PS Vita was. Anybody can complain about the price, but the PS Vita was the most beautiful handheld ever made. Like I firmly believe that was the best handheld they ever made, and I'm so sad it didn't do
funny,
it.
too, because it's not even like the OLED only thing. Like even if you have a Vita Slim, that's still hard glass. That glass still feels great to like touch with, and you don't have any resistance. And but like I feel like when I'm touching a Switch, it feels to me like I'm touching a bottom screen on a 3DS or a DS. It just feels cheapy to me.
And it is cheapy. It does feel cheapy. Well, the weirdest feeling for me, and we're complaining about the Switch, but we love the Switch, guys. So don't be like, when I'm holding the Switch and I put the Joy-Cons on, and I kind of like when I'm playing and I'm getting excited, I almost feel like I'm gonna break it just from like holding it too tight. Do you guys ever feel that? And I don't even have I don't even have big hands.
I love the Switch in terms of its like idea for it, but yeah, there are just like little things for it. It's like we even talked about like the elephant in the room of like this system is over 3 years old and Joy-Con drift is still not fixed. It's like the system just has all these little basic problems that like it's so unfortunate. Like I love the Joy-Cons, like I love playing them. I think that's like a great. Hey, do you want to play dock? Do you want to play handheld? Do you want to play tabletop mode? But yeah, like just the quality like of the overall product, definitely like you can tell where they cut the corners, and it hurts the overall experience.
Yeah, but like you said, already Nintendo already asking $300 on a handheld is already like a steep price for a lot of people. Because like, let's be honest, like a lot of people bought the Switch with the portability aspect in mind. I think that nobody was like, man, I can't wait to dock this thing every day. Like I don't even know.
I had that. I only distinctly remember that for Zelda. I remember when I got it and I just played. I think I played almost the entirety of Breath of the Wild in docked mode. Everything else, I've always been like, I'll do whatever. Like I don't really need one or the other. Well, maybe no. Going back to Xenoblade does definitely look a lot better docked as opposed to in portable. But like, I don't know how you guys feel. Like for me, as someone who loves handheld so much, I think the Switch is fine as a handheld, but it still is that thing of like the size of it. Unless you have like a light, I think the size of it is still like just teetering on the edge of a little too big to be a dedicated handheld.
I thought about that the other day, but then I put the whole Switch on my pocket the other day, and I was like, it fits on the pocket. If it fits on the back pocket,
I'm gonna need that picture. That picture's gonna need to be the thumbnail for this episode. I need the picture of you with the 8-inch screen sticking out of your pants.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I posted it on Facebook at some point. I'm gonna have to dig through it, but I literally took a picture of like, yes, the Switch still a handheld, and I literally just took a picture of that because it's funny. You can see the last Joy-Con just sticking out a little bit, but other than that, like it just fit the whole thing. I'm gonna look through it. I'm gonna have to find that. I'll send it to you later. All right.
Oh, I have a weird question for the both of you that I don't know if this would make any difference for you all. How about this though? Because we've been talking about the Switch Pro and whether it being a dedicated handheld or not. How would you guys feel if when they announced the Switch Pro, it's the same design as the regular Switch, docking and undocking, but they also revamp and do a new version of the Switch Lite? So like make a Switch Lite Plus of like, hey, the internal specs are better, like has longer battery life, but it's still the same design of everything. Do you think that would have any like possible for it? Because like for me, the only reason stopping myself from getting a Switch Lite is just because like, man, I really can't justify it. But if I had to like pick, I would probably play more Switch if I had a dedicated handheld version, because I think the Lite is what the Switch should feel like, but it's just like I already have the original. I can't justify just getting rid of it for the handheld version.
I think the only thing for me will be if the Switch, Lite was able to somehow be docked. That would be the only way for me to actually consider that. And it doesn't have to be docked completely. It could just be like now you can plug it into to your TV, with a cable or whatever. Like I don't necessarily need like something specific. But for me, like the biggest thing is I need it for streaming purposes, and if I could just do it, then I'll be fine. Like I'll be okay with a light. Because people keep mentioning this, the Switch does already not have good graphics. So like even if I can stream this at 720p, I'm fine with that too.
Like you guys with your fancy 4K TVs, tell me that Switch menu does not look nasty on your 4K TV.
Oh, it looks pretty bad. It does look pretty bad. Everything just looks compressed. Yeah, that's the exact word I was looking for, compressed. What do you think, Skull, on that end?
I mean, I think that would be the easiest way to make any GameStop employee want to bang their head against the wall, because now they have to explain 4 different versions of the Nintendo Switch.
I mean, right? We're going to be living in a world where, there are, like, if we're being honest, multi-platform games now. Like a great example. Look at Immortals: Phoenix Risings. Technically, that game is coming out on Uplay, Stadia, PS4, PS4 Pro, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. That's 11 platforms.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, and it's awful. It's fucking awful. But that does sound like a Nintendo thing to do. So I could see them making like Switch Lite Pro Deluxe and then making like 3 games that are exclusive for it, just to annoy everyone.
That's the best way to put it, just to annoy everyone, because that's what they seem to do.
Just curious, am I the only one here who bought a new 3DS?
I had the new 3DS original, and then they put out the XL, and I got upset with myself.
I bought a new 3DS XL. Wow, that is a mouthful.
Okay, no, yeah, because you're talking about the one with the faceplates, right?
No, it was the one right before they introduced faceplates. So I got it first chance I could.
Okay, so you got the XL and not the original, because the XL doesn't have faceplates, and the new
XL,
regular has faceplates. Yeah.
All right. I haven't touched it in years at this point. I think probably the last one was when Persona Q2 came out. So I forget, but I do remember that I wore the paint off that fucking thing playing Hyrule Warriors. I'm still amazed I did that.
Oh man, what a great weirdity of a port. But so since you guys are kind of talking at the same time, Kuro, you were saying you did or did not have one?
Yeah, I do. I have the Fire Emblem one that they did, limited edition.
Oh, for Echoes?
Yes.
I forget all about the 3DS has so many system variants. It is not even funny.
I was so upset because that was sold as a limited edition item. With extra, it was an extra price. It was more expensive than the regular new 3DS, and
that sounds right.
And at the end of the day, like I just wasn't able to.
Wait, did you get the one for Fate that is
the
white
Fates
on
one?
top and black on the bottom?
Yes, Fates. That's the one I bought.
I'll say this. That's a sexy looking system.
It is
super
good looking. I love the way it looks. I was so upset that it did not come with the game, but it was more money. It was literally $60.
Don't forget, you also don't get a charger.
Oh, you didn't get a charger or the game, and you paid like $50 more for it.
I will say this though, if you guys are curious, there is one they did for Japan, which is a regular size new 3DS, but it had the exclusive faceplates of the white family on top and the black family on the bottom. I do not remember the names of them all, but I never had a regular new 3DS, but I always was jealous of the faceplates. But just because I enjoyed the form factor, I couldn't justify it. But Kuro, thank you for reminding me about that, because that system, like, there was some like really underratedly like good-looking 3DS ones. Like,
Also,
no one ever
Persona
talks about
one.
the
Can we-
Monster Hunter ones. The Monster Hunter ones are really great.
can we talk about the shit timing that we got for the Atlas Persona Q
Yeah.
3DS that they did right before the new 3DS came out?
I remember only being mad at that due to the fact that I was more mad because I couldn't get both and use the Q1 more. Like, if they'd ever made the Q1 as a new 3DS, I would have been like, that's awesome. But yeah, it was like such bad timing. Like, if you like another one that kind of like this affected way more people just because of how many more they sold. But do you guys remember what came out right before the new 3DS? Was Super Smash Brothers on 3DS. So they sold a red one and a blue one of a regular 3DS XL, and I remember those sold tons. And Smash Brothers ran and played way better on a new 3DS XL because it had the extra buttons and the thumbstick.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. That's crazy. Yeah, that was really bad. Nintendo's really bad at this, apparently.
Well, we say they're really bad, but we keep buying them all, which is just
Yeah.
proves their point of, all right, I'll do this. I mean, listen, this is just something I would love to will into existence. I want so bad. Like, my favorite would be, can we please, for the love of God, get a Switch Lite themed off of like SMT for like its birthday? Like, that would be like really, really cool. Like, that will give me a justification of buying it. And would also have like a cool design because we've only had like one proper SMT design with the 3DS XL.
Oh, and
I mean, at this point, I will take literally anything SMT related for like either 5 or Nocturne HD. Like if they did anything, like even like a Demi Fiend Joy-Cons, I will take them. Literally any SMT thing they're willing to offer, I'll go for it. I'll eat that shit up with a spoon.
Oh my god! Give me a SMT themed Xbox One Series X. I'll buy it. Don't worry. I'll find a way to justify it.
I guess it just really depends on what they throw in, really. I'm excited. I have a question. This is completely related, but we're already talking about SMT anyways. Do you guys see more SMT games coming to Switch or more SMT games coming to other consoles as well?
Both. I think it's going to be multi-platform, only
Like
because
like Nocturne?
yeah, they know the demands. So I feel like if they go for like any other SMT HD remasters, that those are going to be at minimum PS4 and Switch, or
I'll say
PS5 and Switch.
I think this is depending on two various factors. I think that if Nocturne multi-plat does well, they will continue that with new titles. But I think they will pretty much stick with ports only in terms of giving it to everybody. And I say that just in the sense of a reminder, Nintendo was footing a lot of the bill behind SMT5, which is why it is staying exclusive. So they really have no reason to kind of like the way I'm saying this is like Atlas likes to eat their cake, like basically have their cake and eat it too, in the sense of they love playing the exclusive games while also raking in the port money. So you're not going to get fancy like remastered ports. You're going to get like quick cash grab ports like Persona 4 Golden on consoles a lot quicker, but you're not going to see stuff like remasters and new titles not be exclusive, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
just because it's like there's not as much demand and there's no like the contracts are up for older games. Bring them to consoles. Why not? Like basically, here's what they're going to do. They're going to do the PlayStation thing. PlayStation is now doing this of we have our next gen titles that are exclusive to this one platform, and we also are now going to slowly start bringing titles that are promoting new platforms. Like look at Horizon on PC. Horizon on PC is basically one giant ad that you pay for to play Horizon 2 on a PS5, and you can even go and look and be like, all right. What did they announce before SMT5's new trailer? SMT3 Remastered. SMT3 Remastered exists basically just to get people excited for SMT5.
Yeah, and it was really good. I mean, at least everybody that I was waiting for this, which is really awesome. it works really well. I'm really excited for all this. I'm curious if they're gonna bring SMT5 eventually to other consoles. I don't know. I don't really know what's the deal between
like PS6.
Yeah, like I don't know. Nintendo and Atlas seems to have some kind of relationship, but then Atlas and PlayStation seems to come some kind of
I mean, yeah,
relationship. It's
they
always
have as
weird
much
to.
of a relationship as anyone who will give them money has a relationship. There's a reason there's an exclusive SMT on Xbox. It wasn't because they were feeling generous. It goes back to what we said before of like they just like Microsoft ponied up the money. That's why it's like I would not be amazed if it like TGS we hear Atlas is doing an exclusive game on Xbox just because Microsoft like is going to give them some money for like 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, it's just what it is. It's
If
money.
they're
Money
willing to foot
talks.
the bill, it'll be an exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I don't know where that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. But PlayStation does a lot of time exclusives now. They're pulling a lot of money. So I mean, Xbox.
I hate that stupid tactic of
Let
the
me tell you, this
exclusivity
is
of
one
things.
of the worst things. And I'm like, I have like a whole video that I want to do on this crap because, personally, it doesn't affect me in any kind of way. I play any game I want. I own all the consoles and everything. But like the things like the limited run that Nintendo did, I was so mad. I didn't even bought the 3D collection. I was like, Nintendo, like I'm not even buying this crap. I'm so upset at this, and it's
This
because
game with so many fucking asterisks.
to me like that was like such a thing. It's like there's just no reason, absolutely no reason. You and they're gonna end up selling this later on. They're gonna sell them separately for 20.99 or 19.99 a piece or whatever. You know how that's how they do it. They're gonna get more money out of this, and it's terrible because people will go and buy them and everything. I don't know. I don't know.
So, just curious, Carl, for you, then, how do you feel about other companies who do the exact same thing but with like lesser known indie games? Like, so how do you feel about the other like limited companies out there?
I think it depends on what you're talking about. Like limited run, when it's like a physical limited run release, like I get it. The indie games is a reason why they're limited. They don't have the budget to pay for it. I understand that, but Nintendo is like a multi-billion-dollar, well, not billion, million-dollar corporation that can easily afford to print more copies of it. So to me, indie makes sense, especially when they do like physical releases for like a limited amount or whatever. I've seen that happen quite a bit.
You know what this conversation's telling me? This tells me that you've never had a game you really wanted and you missed out on its selling.
Oh, I have,
Every
I
every
have.
time I ever have that conversation, people will be like, "What's all right? Then what's the one game you missed?"
What is the one game that I missed on? Oh man, I can't even remember. But there been games that I missed out on that sucks. Oh, I'll give you one, and this is a collector's edition one. The Life is Strange 2. I missed out on collector's edition, and I love The Life is Strange. It's like one of my favorite series of all time. And I missed out on collector's edition. I actually don't own the physical edition because I wanted that one so bad, and I missed out on it. So yes, yeah. So I was never able to buy that one, and I own the other ones. Like I own the other collector's editions for that, but that one for some reason like I didn't get it on time or whatever. Now it's like $300 or $200 on Best Buy or not Best Buy, eBay or whatever. So I'm like I can't afford that. I don't want to spend.
Sir, I'm looking at the Life is Strange 2 Collector's Edition. It's $60 on the Square Enix store right now.
Square Enix selling it. Square Enix. I don't want to be. That's not even.
They're the publisher. Who else is going to get
Yeah,
the
you
money?
don't want to deal with the publisher of the game.
I don't want to deal with them anymore. I'm tired of them. Are they really still selling that over there? Because
I'm looking at it
literally
right
looked
now.
at it
The
everywhere.
Collector's Edition right here
Okay,
comes
good.
with.
It's not selling
Thank you
like
so much for
Marvel.
that. I will go and buy it right now. Thank you so much.
Was it the vinyl? Was that the big one that made you want to get it? I'm trying to think of what was like the big thing in there. That you
Yeah,
wanted.
it's the vinyl and all because I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for a good collector's edition, and those games have really good stuff on them on their collector's edition. They have like the art book and the vinyl and everything. That's cool stuff there. So thanks for checking that out for me. It was sold out for the longest time.
Oh yeah, but like Square Enix will thankfully do like reprints of stuff, which definitely helps out a lot.
It's
The
gotta be a
one
reprint.
thing that did like bug me a bit about Life is Strange 2, only reason I didn't pick it up physically at launch is because they did it right when the last episode came out, which led to the fourth episode being on the disc and not the fifth. You have to still download the fifth, which I always hate when that happens.
Yeah, me too. I hate that. Just more data that you don't need on your PlayStation or your PC or whatever.
So weird question, because Skull, you basically all but confirmed at the beginning of this, so you're not getting any new hardware this year at all, come hell or high water.
I mean, mostly because I'm a broke bitch, and I'm probably not going to be able to budget it where I could justify like a $500 system.
I mean, you
But-
live in what one of the cheapest places to live in the country, right?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Oh yeah, New York City, easily the cheapest place to live.
Just be glad at least you're not like California, where California is somehow more expensive, more people, and still more things will try to kill you there.
Good lord, isn't it pretty much just like the beginning of Doom 2 now in California?
Mhm.
Holy shit. Good luck to anybody that's living in the West Coast. Seriously.
Yeah, good luck with all that. It's been pretty bad. At least the worst part is I keep seeing memes. I'm like, oh man, don't meme everything. Something
I
should have
mean,
been memed.
it's okay to goof on it, but as long as like it's
Gender reveal memes, bring them on all day.
Yeah,
Don't
that,
worry.
that was funny. That's funny as hell. But it's also kind of like, oh man.
no, believe me, when I did mine, half of me was just going, "Oh God, I hope this isn't too dark."
Well, it's whatever. People on the internet are gonna dunk on whatever you say or do. Sometimes it just happens. You just take it and move on.
So then, like taking a step back though. So Skull, how fast were you to adopt to PS4 then?
Launch day. I literally I was working at GameStop. I forgot to pre-order it, and I was able to check how many we had loose. And as soon as I got off my shift, I just waited out front, and I was able to secure it if I just hung out till midnight. And I didn't have any plans that day, so I went with it.
That's
Are you
all.
still using that same PS4 at launch?
No, not at all. Actually, it lasted only 3 years, and that eject button kept getting stuck. So what would happen is I'd be playing a game, and in the middle of it, just the console would.
Oh, I remember that issue. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up selling it. The guy working at the mom and pop store did not check and see if it would randomly eject discs. So I just did an even exchange.
Got it. Yeah. I think I did. I didn't buy it day one. I was broke and I didn't have enough money at the time. What was like 7 years ago? Is that right? Or 6 years ago?
I think 6.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
actually, no, it was 2013. So yeah, coming on 7.
Okay. All right. So I remember I wasn't too monetarily invested at the time, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait a little bit. And I think my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, I'll get it for you, whatever. And then she bought it and like broke it or something like that. Like it just broke, so I just didn't get it for some reason. And then I was like, eventually, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and buy one. And I was still rocking my PS3. Fun fact: my PS3 that I had was the one that had the PlayStation 2 combo. It lasted me for 6 years without any issue. And then randomly one day just dropped with the red light, or what is that, yellow light?
The yellow light of death.
Yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, I lost everything. But because it had already happened for so long, people now have tutorials on how to fix it or whatever. So it continuously fixed that. So the way to fix it is you have to cook the motherboard with like a heat gun, and you just put it in a box, and then you just heat it up until the plastics come back.
I
together
could
and
only
everything.
do that 3 times. By the time it happened the 3rd time, I had to say, "Okay, fuck this. I'm pulling with the Slim." The
That's-
PS2, the
that's what I
PS2 is nice, but it's not worth having this thing die every 3 months.
That's exactly what I did. So I fixed it. I took it to GameStop, and GameStop, it worked when they had it. So it's like,
Hey, man, like, do not feel bad. As someone who also worked at GameStop, like, listen, like, when you're buying one of these old George Foreman PS3s, like, they're just a ticking time bomb. It's like buying an original Xbox. Like, they're the cheapest model available for a reason.
And and then I have a PS3 that I bought and I never used because I had a PS4 at that point. So yeah, I mean, I never actually had a day one console, to be honest. I always had to wait for other reasons, mostly because I didn't have the money for them.
2013 was a very dangerous year for my wallet. I remember in the span of a week, because if you guys remember, the PS4 launched first, and then the week later, Xbox One launched.
I get the t-shirts.
I got this was my 1 week of purchases. I bought a PS4, 7 games, a second controller, the new camera that came out, a Xbox One, a second controller, a year of live, and was probably 2 games, and then just because I hate myself, I'll never forget this because these came out on the same day. After I picked up the Xbox, I then drove all the way across town to pick up my pre-order because that same day, A Link Between Worlds came out, and I picked up A Link Between Worlds, the special limited edition 3DS version.
Oh my god.
That was you could tell I definitely had no financial responsibilities at that time. I think I probably dropped like $2,000 within like 5 days.
Oh, that is amazing.
Oh man, that's cool and kind of sucks at the same time if you really think about it.
Oh yeah. It's like, oh man, that's so sweet. Like at the time, I was like, dude, I'm living that TH gamer life heaven, and then at the same time, I'm thinking of it now, and I'm like, what? Why did I do that? I don't know. Didn't need Killer Instinct that bad.
That actually brings up a point I wanted to bring up with you guys. That by and large, like outside of maybe a few exceptions, most games at launch really don't stand the test of time, at least in terms of like PS4 and PS3 and I guess Xbox.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Nick.
Do you think games like Bugsnax, like Miles Morales, like all that stuff, do you think that is going to be the same case where just you're going to look at it 6 years later and go, yeah, that game was actually kind of crap?
I think this year's going to be different because also you bring up a good point of like the PS4 and Xbox launch had very few exclusives as well, but that's just more due to the fact that right now we're in the transitionary period and we're going to be there for a while.
I mean,
of like
exclusive launch titles, like Knack was trash.
But at the same time, remember, we have new stuff coming out this year, and the exclusives are going to matter for maybe Game Awards. For the most part, that really matters is people are going to buy these new systems. They're going to play Cyberpunk on them. They're going to play Call of Duty, and they're going to play Assassin's Creed. Like those are going to be the big things that sell this year. Like exclusives are not going to be what people are buying these systems for because guess what? Once they're done, they're going to have to find something else to play, and all of these multi-platform releases are going to be what ties people over.
I just want to mention one game, but before I even do that, I want to shamelessly promote you guys' YouTube channels. So, guys, I dropped the links for both Spencer's and Skull's channels. So, you guys want to subscribe to their channels, that'll be cool. If I remember correctly, Spencer is super close to getting to 1,000 subscribers, so you guys could go on and subscribe to his channel. That'll be awesome. So we can get him some monetization going over there for him.
Man, I'm ready to cash in. I got a couple of old videos that are just waiting to pay off.
So yeah, if you guys can go over there and check his channels out, that'll be awesome. So I want to mention a game because we're talking about standing the time test, and the game that I'm thinking of particularly is The Order 1886. Now, if you guys don't recall that whole fiasco and disaster that happened with that game came out, I think the first or the second year of the console was out.
It was February to April of 2014, I think.
Yeah, so that was like
very early.
That was within that same first year that the game was out and everything. That game was a complete disaster, but it still looked really good.
I'm sorry. No, this is even more insane. It came out February of 2015. I think it took a long time to come out.
Oh, wow. I remember that game. I remember playing that game going, man, this game looks really good. This is really next gen. Although, sure, it had its own issues and it was only 5 hours long if you push it.
It just looks good. That's
it looked really good. The gameplay was okay, but the way that the game looked, I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that was a good game to look at. Like if you look at what next gen back then looked like, my first thought was this game truly does look next gen.
You know what? I don't know why. I'm just looking in the chat. Wayfinder's name is reminding me of something. Speaking of like next gen things that we're not even going to be using the most of next gen. You know what my most played PS5 game is going to be this year? It's gonna be that freaking Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody. I'm going to play this like PlayStation 2 texture looking game on my like $500 box and be very happy with it. Because like I'm thinking of games like out of every game that I'm going to play the most out of this holiday, I'm like I'm probably gonna end up just playing this silly rhythm game on it more than anything.
Oh man, that is true. I mean, if you think about it, not all games are about the graphics or anything like that. But let's be honest, if you want to justify buying a $500 to $600 console, you do want to see some kind of change from the previous generation. It's just honesty. I mean, at least if you're gonna be dropping that much money.
I mean, if they want to be really honest, if they want to appeal to the casuals, they can just say, "Guys, buy a PS5." Just due to the fact that if you want to play Warzone in the lobby, your PS4 won't sound like it's a jet engine about to take off. No matter what system you play on, for whatever reason, Warzone is the only thing that apparently, while loading into a match, it has to overclock every system. Because no matter if you're on a regular PS4 or a Pro, while playing that game, it always does a of like it literally sounds like it's going to shoot out of your like entertainment center.
Um, yeah. So let me now ask you, like the we already talked about next gen consoles, and so what is the one game next gen that you have seen so far that you're saying this is the game that is gonna be a console seller for me, Spencer?
Oh, I'm easy. Mine is like it's not even like the easy one. Like, oh, I'm gonna be like Miles Morales. Legitimately for me, it's just when I saw Demon Souls, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in for launch. I have to get it.
Yeah, I think that's one of them for me too. Like when I saw that one, honestly, the whole presentation where they dropped Miles Morales and Demon Souls and Horizon Zero Dawn, it was like, yeah, I don't think I need to look farther than this. That's all I wanted to see was this, and this was dropped, and that's what I wanted. That's what I got there. What about you, Skull?
Oh, personally, I haven't seen it yet. That's also another reason why I'm waiting. Because like I can most of the games that look interesting to me or ones like I would play aren't ones like where I have to have it now. It's like I can wait on that.
So you don't
Like
have.
Miles Morales is going to be good.
Mhm.
I'm going to enjoy it. Same with Ratchet and Clank. But I mean I'm in no rush to play it.
Got it. So you don't haven't seen a game that you're kind of like, man, this is the console selling game for me at this time. Like,
Not yet.
not yet. Okay,
But I
okay.
mean I know that I'm going to eventually get a PS5, obviously, but not yet.
That makes sense, man. So what if like TGS happened and Atlas just dropped a trailer for Persona 6 on PS5?
I mean, I'll be more excited to mindlessly speculate about it for 3 years until they release another trailer. Probably where my mind would be at.
I'm just teasing,
Those five.
I'm teasing, guys,
Endlessly speculate.
because that's exactly what they did before with Persona 5 before they delayed it infinitely
Oh yeah, when it
for.
was PS3 exclusive.
Yeah, when it was a PS3 exclusive, oops, the PS4 is out, so I guess now it's a PS4 exclusive. Oh, that was terrible. That was a terrible disappointment. I don't know. A lot of you guys are new fans to Persona, so you are lucky that you didn't go through the whole fiasco having to see this game delayed, and then fearing that Atlas was gonna go broke before they even finished this game.
Yeah, that was a fun thing to hear about after the game released.
I was like that was a whole thing that I'm like, oh man, I can't even. Yeah, I don't see Persona 6 coming out anytime soon. So they're just
No,
working on so
they've got
many.
their roadmap. They're gonna do like 2 or 3 more spin-offs, and probably tease Persona 6 maybe either next year or the year after, whatever the hell they do with the
You
anniversary.
think I'll be cool? It would be cool if they do it on an anniversary. At least they show it. But I don't want another Shin Megami Tensei 5 where fans are getting mad because they don't hear anything for 3 years. That is normal. Like that's pretty normal on games.
No,
Like they
you'll probably see
announce.
something at TGS. Like if even if it's just like a flash of gameplay in a montage, you'll probably see at least something.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. So you don't think that even then that wouldn't really sell you out into grabbing a
I
PS5?
honestly don't know what would be
Mhm.
the system seller for me because I've had some weird ones. Like the reason why I got into 360 was specifically because Banjo 3 was announced. I went, oh shit, and then it became nuts and bolts. But I already bought a console, so it just kind of fucked.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
I
But
mean, it's all right. I
it
mean, I got
happens.
other better games.
You know what happens to me too. They announced Scalebound for the Xbox, and I bought the Xbox One for Scalebound. Literally, I love Platinum games. Like that's one of my favorite action fighting. I'm sorry. What do you call that? Like action developer.
Like action games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and because I
just pure action.
yeah, so I use pure fun. I love Devil May Cry, and I was like, man, Scalebound looks so good. So I'm gonna buy an Xbox for that game, and the game gets canceled. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with an Xbox now?
Coming any day now, going to be a Switch exclusive. They're saving it, baby. Going to be that 4K launch version.
Has that ever happened to you, Spencer, where you bought like where a game was a system seller for you and then it came out and it was just a pile of shit, or it never happened?
No. I've definitely always kind of jumped into systems or even knew like what system sellers were and could kind of sniff them out. I've had ones of I thought would be system sellers, but came out to be kind of a bit of a moot point. I always remember when I played Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation on Vita, because that was exclusive when it came out at the time. That was like the system I bought my system bundle because of that game, because I was really, really crazy into Assassin's Creed. And I remember I liked that Assassin's Creed more than Assassin's Creed 3. And I was like, man, this is great. Like, to tell people, like, check it out. It's like a full-on Assassin's Creed game, portable, like, looks just as good. Because I'd played even the weird spin-off Assassin's Creeds at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Of, like, the best we got was, like, Bloodlines on PSP. So, like, to have a full brand new female, like you're playing as like a black lady during like slave times. I was like, man, this is really interesting, especially for like history fans. And then just came out and like if you played it, you liked it. Like no one looks back at that game like oh man, that game was trash. Just no one really played it. So I've had games I thought would be system sellers, but weirdly wouldn't. But I think even Sony thought that was, because I remember that year they advertised that game really, really hard, and they advertised Call of Duty really, really hard, which was funny, because if you think about it, all they really had to do was advertise Persona 4 Golden, and they probably would have done a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think they even predicted how well that game was gonna do on that system now. But
I mean, I know you guys weren't really covering games really that close at the time, but like as someone who like saw Atlus's E3 setup during 2012, literally Atlus just had employees walking around the show floor with Vitas, being like, "Will you look at this game? It's a port of an old PS2 game."
Sad, really?
Yeah, because it was like on paper, Persona 4 Golden is like, why the fuck would I care about a PS2 port? Like, it's like, I mean, whatever. I guess Persona's kind of popular, but like, because remember, Persona 4 didn't enter milking like mode, as some people like to call it, until after Golden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the more humbler times of Atlus where you evening the craziness of E3. You didn't see lines like crazy to play. I remember another great example is when Yakuza 0 was at E3. They never had a line. Yakuza 0 was like, it's our first attempt bringing it back. And I remember hearing friends at like Sega be like, oh god, no one's gonna buy this game. And now look at them. Both of those like have totally, both of those totally redefined everything.
Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. I think Atlus has grown to the point where they need to catch up with themselves and be like, yeah, we've grown. We need more.
I mean, it's no longer like niche, like nearly. Yeah, Persona and both Persona and Yakuza are nowhere near the niche titles that they were at the beginning of the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
A great example of, speaking of Yakuza, think about this. The main reason we never got Ishin or any of those other like weird spin-offs for Yakuza was like, guys, we can barely afford bringing a Yakuza game to the West. Like, remember, Sony's the only reason Yakuza 5 came out at all. And now look at them now being asked, like, hey, will you guys bring back those other ones you never translated? And they're like, we're too busy now. We can't bring over these old games.
It wasn't like the line, like, we don't know if Americans are going to enjoy this period of Japanese history.
Yeah, which by the way, I hated that entire soundbite, because like, I'm sorry, should we look at Ghost of Tsushima that literally just came out?
I mean, that's kind of now just proving them wrong. So the only excuse they could have is either big workload or we're not listening.
So hilariously, the actual reason, which I guess they can't say because it makes Japan look bad. The only reason they can't bring it out is because Japan has no reason to bring it out. The only reason we got 3, 4, and 5 is because Japan was like, oh, dang, dude, we got to lead up into development for 7 because like they weren't 100% on Judgment, and they wanted to keep the brand relevant. So that's like, if you remember, in Japan they released 3, 4, and 5 very spread out as their own kind of standalone things. So
I'm pretty sure they have boxes, like individual boxes.
yeah, they got their individual box release of like, those were meant to like pace out the development of Yakuza 7 because because of all the unique stuff they were doing. Like, the only reason is because they don't have the budget, or Japan won't let them basically bring the games over into English.
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle, but at least we did get them in a bundle.
You know what's sad? I could have just described it like this. The reason we're never going to get, or for the foreseeable future, not going to get Yakuza Ishin in English is literally the same reason we can't get Eternal Punishment 2 English on PSP. Japan didn't care about it, and they know it won't sell enough.
I mean, you could always do the 5 thing of just making it digital only, and whoever buys it, buys it. You don't have to worry about production. Oh, believe me, it sucks. I'd rather they do a physical one, but better than just it being lost forever. And you get a fan translation on YouTube of a cutscene.
I don't know. It's just one of those things, like, I'd rather wait till, like, I'm sure there'll be another time where they think it'll be relevant for it, but at the same time, like, there's never been more Yakuza out on the market. I'm like, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was what, like 11 games that are in English right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough. Like, if you're interested, you can get more than your what you want.
Just play Yakuza Dead Souls. That's why I keep telling everybody. Just play that game.
Yeah, I've recommended it because it's stupid as fuck. It's janky, but it's stupid as fuck, and that's why people like Yakuza.
I never played a Yakuza game, so I'm completely out of this conversation.
All you need to know is don't play any of them and just start with 7. You'll love 7, Kuro. I can guarantee it.
I am gonna play them. I just need time, and I don't have time.
Don't, I know you. You're not going to play 7 games leading up until 7. You're not going to play 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 before 7. So just know you don't need any experience to enjoy 7. You will enjoy it though.
Yeah, it's a new guy, new story, and he's also a weeb that really likes Dragon Quest.
All right.
I'm sorry. Did you mean Persona 5? Because clearly he's a big Persona fan. Hence why the menu is for Persona 5.
Oh man. All right. Well, we'll keep that in mind. I'll definitely check that out. I'm excited to play that now.
Fucking hate Turok 2.
Sorry about that. I'm like trying to
right.
keep an eye on my chat over here.
I'm going through it as we're talking, and I forget that, like, as much of a labyrinthian nightmare Turok 1 was, Turok 2 is now just my personal hell.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy playing it all over again, man, because I think in like a month or two they're coming on PS4.
Oh, fuck that. I got my limited run copy. I'm not doing this again. Once I beat this game, this is going into a dark corner where I'm going to forget about it until I move.
Well, I think we've pushed all their next gen discussions as far as we can until we know any more from Sony on Wednesday. Unless you guys have any other big brain ideas.
I mean, my big brain idea is that Sony's going to compensate by doing the Spider-Man tier shit that they're doing for Avengers, where big multi-platform games are going to have PS5.
Don't even bring that up again. That was terrible. I was so upset about that.
It is annoying as shit because it works.
Yeah, it does.
It's scummy, it's underhanded, but it is going to do exactly what they want it to do, and that's move more PlayStation copies. And they're probably going to do it with whatever next gen multi-platform big hype game is going to be.
Unfortunately, and I don't know why.
Pre-order now for the Ratchet Head.
It's just working. It's working, and it's terrible that it works.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to know numbers about Arkham Asylum because that's the one I remember distinctly with PS3 exclusive content.
Well, the company who published that game went bankrupt, so that's probably not a good question to ask.
Oh well, fair enough.
All right.
Back when Batman Arkham Asylum was published by Eidos, which I think most people don't even remember, they literally went bankrupt after that game came out.
I mean, that makes sense, but yeah, I'm curious if like more people played it on 360 or if it actually worked and there were
That
more
was in the early days of Sony doing anything and everything exclusive. I'm sure it sold some people, but that was like it was probably 50-50 and didn't really move the needle more than it would have anyway. Like that's one of those things that people don't look back on it like they do with like Soul Calibur 2 or stuff like that. Like no
Yeah.
one's looking back at the PC version of Arkham and being like, "Oh, where's our Joker content?"
It was very out of place because he's not one for sneaking around anyway. So it just
Oh, it's
seemed
very
odd.
those missions are very weird.
Again, I haven't played that, so I can't say anything either.
Well, another one play the Arkham games. I think what is it called? Return to Arkham, the collection on PS4.
I played the first Arkham game, the very first one that wasn't a city. It was just like in Arkham Asylum.
Oh yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
Is that what you're talking about? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about.
Sony had an exclusive deal with IDOS where they made Joker content so you could play as the Joker for one mission only on PS3.
Oh, I don't
I
think
don't know if
I don't think I
it's-
played
yeah.
that ever. Or like that particular part of the game.
You didn't miss anything.
Okay. Well,
There's
it
a-
sounds,
Oh,
sounds like it.
Never mind, guys. 2020 is saved. Return to Arkham on PC, PS4, and Xbox does have the Joker DLC.
Oh, it does?
Our reign of tyranny is now ended.
It only took a
Ooh,
decade.
it's
but we
only
got
been-
the
yeah, I
Joker
was
on-
gonna say. All right, so going back to the console, not console war, next gen console. So we know in the news now that PlayStation 5 is gonna have the little showcase September 16, which is what the Wednesday next week.
Yes, that is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one day after we all buy our new iPhones.
Oh yeah, they have the presentation for Apple on the 15th, right?
Mhm.
By the way, what's up with their logo? It looks so bad. Did you
Oh,
guys?
and they do that every time. They just do like an art collab where they do as many different weird logos as they can.
It's like how weird can we get?
When you've been around as many times as Apple, you have to get any and every kind of logo you can. That's how
Yeah,
just
you have to get creative, and I'm using quotations right now
Apple
with
will
creative.
eventually copyright every logo.
So
Use
what?
it eventually for
so what-
themselves.
Ever since the original announcement for the original iPhone, which by the way, I don't know, my audience is a little bit young, but let me tell you this, guys. When the iPhone was announced, I was not impressed. My first thought was it's gonna be another Palm. You guys remember the Palms?
Oh hell yeah! The Palm
Yeah.
Pilots, those old
Yeah.
basically like when the OG iPhone got announced, it sounded too good to be true, and it was Verizon exclusive for 4 generations of phones. Like that, those are the two biggest things that kept me from not being interested. I was like, well, I don't have Verizon. Hell, I didn't even have an iPhone when the first iPhone came out.
And
I mean, I didn't even have a phone when the first iPhone came out, but yeah, I remember like when a friend, like whenever the inevitable rich friend in the group got a iPhone, I remember being like, "Oh my god, it works! Like everything
it works like a phone. It's so weird to wrap your hand around it too, because it's like it's so bizarre. Now looking at it that way, like the iPhone wasn't that good, but if you compare to everything else that was at the time, like the Palms and the Blackberries and the Android, but Android back then was not even close to iPhone. It was really bad. Like they were super slow and they were smaller and everything. No, it was like it's changed so much. But looking back at that presentation, I was like, it sounded so too good to be true. It's almost weird to think about it now how much that changed.
Just think, it was 4 years after the Neo Geo. Sorry, not the Neo Geo, the N-Gage. That's how far we came in phone technology. Oh no! Please tell me I'm not the only one here who remembers the N-Gage.
What was that? The flip phone that
remember
was like
N-Gage.
a game thing.
It was like you were taught. It was a old Palm-like phone, had a 4x3 phone screen, and could play PlayStation 1 graphics. It had like Sonic Advance, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, had Tomb Raider, had a bunch of really
Yeah, I remember
weird
it, yeah.
ports, and crashed and burned really hard. If you look up what the N-Gage looked like, if you look at like the picture of it, if you know, you know.
Yeah, I
Didn't you
remember
pretty
that.
much need a screwdriver to change the game?
No, they were like
Open
SIM
back.
cards though. So yeah, they were not easily accessible.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that clearly now that you mention it. Yeah. So, what do you guys expect from the PlayStation presentation? Do you expect like 40 minutes of Ratchet and Clank or something? Isn't that what they did last time?
Oh God, if they play the same Ratchet and Clank footage again, I'm gonna be
I
very annoyed.
think they are gonna lean very heavy into their first party lineup this fall. Give us a price and date at the end. But outside of that, I don't think we're going to get a lot of reveals, but I think we're going to get a lot more. Here's this game. Here's a date. Here's the game. Here's the date.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, they kind of have
I'm
to.
pretty sure they're gonna tease us on that price until the very end of the presentation. They're probably gonna want us to sit for 40 minutes. It's 40 minutes long, by the way, guys. 40 minutes of whatever
Well,
we
I
want.
mean, they're not gonna make the same mistake that Ubisoft did. They're gonna wait till the end to show you the thing that you're here for.
It's like I just want to know how much it is.
Yeah, because once Scott Pilgrim showed up at that Ubisoft presentation last week, I shut off that whole stream. I was like, all right, I got Scott Pilgrim, I'm good, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, and we got it. So
Nobody stayed till the end.
no. Well, it is what people just we go for.
I mean, I know
specifics.
a lot of people excited for Riders Republic. Like there's a niche for that kind of game.
Oh, that reminds me of the fiasco for what was it? That presentation we got like 20 minutes of Catherine. I completely blocked
Oh,
it.
the new game extra.
Yeah, New Games Plus. That was. I need to find the story for that eventually because I feel like it was. We had this thing. We can't do it at the last minute, so we need some kind of replacement. And they got an employee, not anybody special, to play Catherine.
Oh man, I just it's just crazy to me. Like I did nobody expected that. Like I would have even killed for 20 minutes of 13 Sentinels. That would have been great. Like I would have sat through that and be like, yeah, that's good. But
But it does just feel like an abrupt last second change in hindsight.
yeah, oh gosh, that was so bad. I just needed to think about that. Somebody's asking in the comments here. Here's the real question: how long will it take for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series to get Skyrim?
I mean, hey, we could find out now. I'd say Bethesda has to make a new version at least to be sold on Xbox because still remember it'll work on Xbox with the old PS4 version. So yeah, I'd say give them about 1 year before Elder Scrolls 6. So I think they'll release Starfield first within the next 2 to 3 years, then
Elder
do
Scrolls
Skyrim, and then a year later do Elder Scrolls 6.
Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a PS6 exclusive. I have that feeling. It's going to take for goddamn ever to come out.
Oh man, that's gonna be bad. I don't know. It's been so bad to wait through any info that we're not gonna get anything. I don't know what's up with Bethesda. I used to be a huge fan back when Oblivion and Fallout 3, and that was a good time. Even with Fallout 4 and Skyrim, I was like still pretty on board.
Everything's now just kind of janky junk.
Yeah, it's just they found our grace to the point that I'm kind of like I don't really want to believe in any corporation. Like I don't want to believe on any studio that's gonna be doing stuff again for $70 port for Skyrim. I hope not. We're not paying $70. That is one thing I wanted to talk about. Which thank you so much for reminding me that price. What do you guys think about the pricing going $10 over for next gen?
I mean,
I think it's long. I think it's long overdue. I know that's not a popular answer, but I think the focus shouldn't be on the $70 price point. The focus should be game pricing needs to be a lot more like the rest of the world and be flexible. We're one of the few countries in the world where every game, if you don't want to immediately seem like your bargain bin, has to be $60. And I think we need to start experimenting a lot more. I think when in the PlayStation 4 generation, when middle tier companies like THQ died before they came back again, those budget price games kind of fell out, and then all we were really left with were $20 games and $60 games. So I think let's experiment with the price a lot more. Let's look at things like love it or hate it, there's a reason why big AAA games in Japan cost $90. It's not because they can get away with it. It's because, like, hey, we worked on this game. This game's hundreds of hours long. Why should this game be like the same price as like a 10 to 12 hour shooter campaign? Like a great example I've always like to experiment, and I told people, like, something like a Grand Theft Auto, yeah, that could charge $100 at launch. Like, there's so much content there. Like, they have that reputation. Like, look at something like Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 being $60 was a steal for how long that single player was alone. So while a lot of people aren't going to like the price hike, there's going to be a lot of naysayers. People did the exact same thing when the 360 era started and games started costing $60. We then shut up. We then got used to it. And then we moved on. I think the conversation needs to be more of, let's talk about flexible pricing, and let's not just talk about $10 more for the big boys.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'm okay with the price increase. I think it's long overdue. Let's be honest, making games is not cheap. A lot of companies go out of business because they're not getting money back, and it's not even games that didn't sell well, like the what is that series of games they did lately? That they did a Batman one, and they did the Dead.
Oh, Telltale.
Telltale.
Is that it?
Yeah.
They did a bunch of games that were really commercially successful, yet the company still just went broke. And sure, the games weren't the best, but they still did pretty good. Like, they sold pretty well. And
it's funny. All the companies we've talked about as being dead are actually still now back as different other companies, just using the same name.
Oh yeah, did they come back?
Still around.
Yeah, and Telltale now is existing under a different name, but is still basically making the exact same thing. They're working on Wolf Among Us 2.
Oh yeah, they did talk about. I remember seeing about that. But I mean, the whole thing about it is exactly what you were saying. Like, they need to get their money back somehow. And I would rather just pay $10 than just be paying DLC and loot boxes and also, like, I just rather just pay the money straight up and just be like, I don't have to pay any extra. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people use the DLC as kind of like this excuse for them to charge more money for stuff. Like, they do this all the time. You know, it's like, well, you know, games aren't cheap to make. You know, like, yeah, I get that, but
to be fair, there will be $70 games that still do ridiculous DLC packs and tons of microtransactions. Just because they up the price does not mean that they're still not going to try and nickel and dime the consumer.
I'll say this: there are examples though that kind of speak into both points you guys are talking about. Of, like, important to also remember, games go down in price faster than ever these days. Like, look at something like Borderlands 3. I bought the $120 edition of Borderlands 3 last year and played the ever-loving crap out of it. You can buy that exact same version of that game that comes with all the DLC and everything in a nice fancy steelbook case for like $20 now. And I don't look at that and go like, oh man, what the hell? It's just like, yeah, prices go down, demand fluctuates, like increases, and most times like decreases. So, like, we just kind of got to be, like, aware of that. It kind of goes back to the whole next-gen thing of, like, hey, listen, like, we're buying these at their most expensive and at their least feature-rich. Like, games are the exact same way. When you're buying a game at launch, you're buying it with the knowledge of, hey, this might go on sale in the next, like, 2 months. Like, I know people weren't really complaining about it exactly, but, like, just look at Catherine Full Body. 2 months after release, when that came out on PS4, it was already $25 at Best Buy.
I didn't realize that was 2 months.
Yeah, it came out in September, and then come Black Friday month, it was $25.
You're right. You're right. And the same thing happened to. It was a game. I can't remember the name of the game. I think it was Fallout 76. Was it 76?
Oh my God! Yeah, that was like within a week.
Yeah,
he was already losing money.
Well, yeah, because they made all the money in the store.
Yeah,
and that just cut out the middleman.
No, that was because nobody pre-ordered it. The beta was of terrible reception. Reviews came out. Nobody even wanted it from the deluxe edition. And then you had all these stores who were sold the game like, because remember, Bethesda sold Fallout as being like, this is the next Fallout, and like, holy shit, well, Fallout sells really well. We better order 1 million copies. Like, every Walmart I ever go to is just like, they have a whole clearance bin of just they cannot get rid of Fallout 76.
Man, and that's probably the best.
With controllers Lowe's and Best Buy.
Fun fact for everybody that is new to my channel. Literally, my first video on the reason why I started a YouTube channel was to bitch about Fallout 76. So I had early access to the beta from a friend, and they had just flown over the YouTubers to talk about 76, and everybody was really excited. This is way before people actually played 76, by the way.
The canvas bag.
Yeah, the canvas bag thing. Like everybody was really excited for the game. Like even my favorite YouTubers were like, "Yeah, the game looked good. It's still in beta." And I was like, "This is before everybody played the beta." So I played the beta, and I was like, "This is absolute crap. Like there's no way this game comes out in like a month. Like this game comes out in a month, and these people are telling you that the game is good. It's complete trash." And then the beta comes up for everybody, and everybody plays it, and I was like, yeah, it's absolute shit. Like, I was completely right about this. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make a YouTube channel and bitch about it for 10 minutes. So that was like literally my first YouTube video. I just wanted to talk about that game because I hated it so much. And at the time, I was such a Bethesda fanboy, and I was like, this makes me so angry. Like it's unacceptable, and I will be the same for any company. Like I said before, like previously, like I don't care whether it's Atlas or Sega or Capcom, which I buy like all their products and everything. Like if you mess up, like I'm gonna call you out on it, no matter what. Because I feel like it's a good thing to do. Just talk about it. Oh, the other game that I was thinking of is Mass Effect Andromeda. That game also sold. Absolute trash. Like it was $60 and I bought it for $30 like a week later.
A live action cartoon.
What, that was the same case, right? I remember that because I remember getting it.
Shit animation.
Yeah, super cheap. Like I don't know what happened, but it was pretty cheap on that end.
I think it's because it was it new developers or B team or some excuse of inexperience.
I heard about that. I don't know what. I don't really know.
Our main team at BioWare was working on Anthem. So they had they had all the newbies working on that with they were using the not new, it was new for them engine that Battlefield always uses that I cannot remember for the life of me.
It's fucking hilarious that this was Plan B and both Plan B and Plan A stunk.
Oh man, that was absolute. I don't know. I don't even know how to even say it. Like it was just so bad. I remember playing that and going, man, what went wrong in development? Like, what was even the deal with this thing? Because it was crazy. I don't know.
The joys of the joys of thinking that you have a slam dunk just by having a popular franchise.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
and Andromeda, I'm sorry, Andromeda, what was it? We just talked about it. Anthem was absolute trash as well. It was, I don't even know where to begin with that. But I think that's a video for a different day. So we talked about pretty much everything that I had to say about next gen. Did you guys have anything to ask or anything to kind of to wrap all this up here?
I'm pretty good myself, at least in terms of what we can kind of say. I'm sure our heads will immediately do a 180 once we know price for everybody.
Oh yeah, like I think it might be a good idea to do a follow-up next week after that presentation.
Sure, I'll be up for that. I think I was actually planning on doing something like that anyway, so if you guys want to come back again and we'll see how that turns out.
As long as I'm welcome, I'll always come back.
No, dude, you're always welcome here. Thanks for coming in. Spencer, thanks for coming in as well. You guys are
thanks
awesome here.
Man.
What was that?
I just said thanks for the invite, and also thanks to everyone for watching live.
Yeah, thanks for coming over here and checking us out again. If you guys want to subscribe to their channels, I left a link there, so check that out. Thank you so much for coming in today, guys, and I'll see you guys next